Okay, so it's time to go, it almost feels like we're going back to the 90s. This feels like a 90s summer movie.
It really does, honestly.
This would have been the kind of movie where if it was released in like 1995, it would have just destroyed the box office.
Yeah.
Even, especially with Emmerich's name on it.
Absolutely.
White House Down is pretty much exactly what you expect it to be.
Yeah.
Despite the scathing reviews it's getting, like, they're like really going after this movie. They're like trying to beat it to death with words.
Yeah, and I don't really understand why.
Yeah. As you know from the plot, it's not quite Olympus Has Fallen, but it's close.
There's a lot of differences between the two.
Well, for starters, Channing Tatum is not with the Secret Service.
Nope.
Which, you know, brings up a lot of jokes later, but...
He's trying to be with the Secret Service.
Yeah. And, Joey King is his daughter, who was Ramona and Beezus, and she shaved her head and was...
Young Talia
in The Dark Knight Rises. And I think she was somewhere else recently, but she's the China doll in Oz.
Yeah, I was like wondering when you're going to mention Oz. I do appreciate you brought up Ramona first.
That's what it always goes back to.
That's how it should be.
Okay, so
she's in the Conjuring. She's in something.
Well, anyway,
something we saw a trailer for today.
She's Channing Tatum's daughter, and she's like, I don't think she's old enough or young enough to be Channing Tatum's daughter, but
she plays 11, so he had to have her when he's listed as 80, so he's 32.
Yeah, he's 32 in real life, I think.
Yeah.
So okay, fine.
We'll go with that.
But she is like really, really into this White House stuff. Like she knows White House trivia. Like I know movie shit.
Yeah, pretty much.
So he gives her a gift of White House passes. She's really, really amped up about those White House passes.
Yes, she is.
So they're on this tour of the White House, and Jason Clarke walks in, looking like Clive Owen at the beginning of Inside Man.
Yeah. Wow.
And he is on the opposite side of the government than he was in Zero Dark 30. So he is... The White House goes like under fire, and they like blow up like the Capitol building and all that. And it turns out that no, it was a long... What was James Woods' title?
She is in The Conjuring.
Oh. What was James Woods' title?
Hold on, I actually have it. I'm on White House Down's gimmick now. He's the not Secretary of Defense.
No, they plugged him.
Yeah, he done his part. You're right, good. I don't remember.
Well,
his name was Walker. I remember that.
So James Woods is...
I think it's James Walker too. Maybe.
No, it's Martin.
Martin Walker, that's it.
He's been working in the White House for quite some time. He's like, what was it, like a week from retirement?
Yeah.
And
he was saying his last goodbyes.
But he had a son that was sent off to war and was killed. So now he wants revenge. So he's like the, for lack of a better term, he's the Hans Gruber of this group.
Yeah.
So let's talk about that, because that's been talked about a lot. Olympus Has Fallen was a lot like Die Hard.
Yeah.
This is a Die Hard clone down to the side characters, because obviously not totally, but let's start with the fact that this is such... They knew they were doing it though, because Channing Tatum said that they were gonna make... That he may have been joking, but I think he was being serious, because I think I'd heard this before he'd said it. It's such an homage to Die Hard. His character's name was originally going to be McClane. And he's wearing the wife beater and everything. But not only that, but I'd read this in a review too. Jason Clarke's character is just like, I forgot his name in the movie, and I forget his real name too. But he's the guy with he's the henchman in Die Hard with the long blonde hair.
Mm.
Well, if you remember, John McClane kills that guy's brother. He's the guy that he takes the chain. He takes the the machine gun from. And then that guy gets pissed off because he's got to avenge his brother now.
Jason Clarke is Sten's.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he gets to, it's not his brother that gets killed, but it's a guy that, like, he was, like, best friends with that, like, saved his life or something. So they got that plot point. And then we have, this guy, Jimmy Simpson, who was, he's the guy in the last scene of Zodiac that identifies Arthur Lee Allen. And he's also, he was the guy with Common in Date Night. He is, down to the slightest detail, that guy, the tech guy in Die Hard, that the terrorists used to, like, he was hacked into everything.
Mm-hmm.
He's got the glasses, he's got the jacket, he talks like him, he whistles while he's doing terrorist-like things.
Yeah.
He plays classical music. This character was recreated by Simpson's performance. So, yeah, there was, oh yeah, he's estranged from his, I don't know if they're divorced now, but he's not with Jesus Christ, Joey King's mother.
Yeah.
Oh, God. I've never been this tired doing a review, so it's scattered all over the place. I can't remember anything.
This will be a fun review.
Okay, let's talk about problems, but then I'll,
make up for it.
Because everybody's beating this movie to death, so, I'll say, some things about why they might be.
You gonna try to resuscitate it a bit?
Okay, for starters, much like in Olympus Has Fallen, the effects are not good.
No.
Like, they look like they were made. I don't know what is going on anymore. When you look at movies like Independence Day, for instance, why is it that the more we're going into the future, the more our technology is widening, but the worse effects are getting?
Yeah.
What was the last movie? What was the last blockbuster that had really, really, really stellar visual effects, special
Star
effects?
Trek?
Yeah.
Was there something before that?
Like World War Z.
No.
And
Fast 6?
I just don't get how special effects seem to be taking this decline in quality for the most part. I mean, somebody like J.J. Abrams, sure, but I don't know. That would also go in line with, there's actually, going on that, there's actually a, Roland Emmerich is the director of Independence Day, so somebody actually makes a reference to Independence Day during the tour of the White House about which part of it was blown up, which seems like a shameless plug, but nobody actually seemed to catch it. So whoever happens to notice, whoever knows Roland Emmerich by name will notice that, I guess. But there's also, this is a lot of blockbusters are like this, and they have scenes like this, but it's, I don't know. They try to have those really light and funny scenes, before all the action breaks out. And there's this ridiculous scene at the very beginning where Channing Tatum pulls up in front of Richard Jenkins' house, and he's got a bird feeder outside, and this squirrel is jumping on it. And he has a dialogue, or a monologue, I guess, with this squirrel. And I don't know about you, but I just felt ridiculous watching that.
Yeah, you have the scene at the opening of G.I. Joe, Retaliation, which is done...
The video game.
The video games, which is done really, really well, and it's really funny. This just seems like it's out of place.
Yeah,
and not very funny.
Yeah.
Channing Tatum is not really doing very well when it comes to comedy in this movie.
And they do a lot. They try to do a lot of comedy moments with the tour guide. I don't know. I thought he was kind of overused, I guess. Like, I mean, you always have that one side character they try to consistently make funny, but it wasn't working with this character.
He even gets like a cliched 80s style movie line too. Somewhere in the movie.
So, what was it? Stop breaking my White House or something?
Yeah, stop breaking my White House.
I don't know. Yeah, it was a very get off my plane moment.
Yeah.
Which, I keep making that mistake. I keep thinking Emmerich did Air Force One, but he Wolfgang Peterson did, I think. But yeah, it's and there's some when you do, I mean, I don't really understand this criticism because people used to look. I mean, I know they're looking back on it now because everybody's a smarter moviegoer than they were, I guess, or they're trying to show that they are. But back in like the '90s, further, but '90s were when like blockbusters really seemed to be reveled in. Nobody gave a shit about anything except what was on the screen.
Yeah, exactly.
But now everybody wants to pick apart, like, oh, this would never happen, and oh, this is illogical, and this is a contrivance. Nobody cared about that a while back, but for some reason, that's like everybody's go-to thing now.
As weird as it is, it seems like everyone is their own critic to the point that everybody thinks they know too much.
Well, here's the thing. I mean, yes, action movies, if they're gonna be like big and explosive, can really, really benefit if they happen to be really smart too, like like Speed or Die Hard. Or just but you can also they don't have to be brilliant because clearly movies like this aren't setting out to be.
No. They're a fun popcorn flick. I guess that's the terminology we're using nowadays.
Yeah, that's what everybody like. Even like that's when you know it's getting ridiculous when your casual moviegoer starts using critic terms.
Yeah.
But there are these like there's this one particular scene that people probably would have loved in the '90s, but everybody wants to attack it now. It's the scene where Channing Tatum and Jamie Foxx are being chased, and they're in the presidential limo. And for some reason, the presidential limo is a speed demon.
I like it when it was like doing donuts basically around the White House front lawn. That was pretty funny to me.
But who goes into this movie and doesn't expect stuff like that?
Yeah. It's like one in a movie like Transformers expecting coherent plot and dialogue.
People see the trailer for this movie and then they go into it expecting it to, not be over the top in a action movie way.
True. Especially the lucky few that got to see it when I put it on Olympus Has Fallen.
Like there was I don't know how to word this.
Okay.
I was watching two guys online argue, and the one guy liked it, and he said he liked it because it entertained him.
Okay.
And the other guy was arguing with him that this guy ridiculing him for liking the movie had not seen it.
What?
And he said that he was losing his taste because what was it? I'm trying to remember the exact words so I don't fuck up. He was losing his taste because he would say he liked a movie because it entertained him. Or something like that.
We all have that kind of movie in life.
I don't know where this guy was coming from.
That's not a coherent argument.
Especially not having seen it.
Yeah.
But,
You prejudge movies, but not like that.
Well, and this is just, these big action movies are easy to do that too. Like, you'll see, like, Independence Day was the shit in 1996.
Yeah.
But now suddenly everybody wants to, nitpick it and say how stupid it is. So, Yeah. Oh yeah. Going back to Independence Day, that thinking about that makes me not like the bad CGI even more because that was a big deal with that. And say what you will about 2012,
Oh.
but the effects in that movie are like spectacular.
That's the one thing that it has going for it is the effects.
Particularly the earthquake.
Yeah.
So, yeah, this movie just made me want to think about the like back in the 90s when Twister was another one of these. Those 90s blockbusters that just everybody loved just because they were so... It's something you can't... What happened to going to the movies to see things you can't see in real life?
Everyone has been ruined by reality television. They want to see more realism. And they don't want to see... if they want to see an explosion, they want to see a real explosion. They don't want to see, like, something like animals flying in the air and everything. That's not believable. So.
Yeah, well, I do have to bring that up, though. This wasn't, you know, as out there as a movie like Twister or Independence Day. So I want to know what was stopping Emmerich from using more practical effects.
That's a good point.
Because like, what happened to like this movie? Not only has CGI explosions, the smoke that lingers is clearly CGI.
Yeah.
What happened to like using models? Why does nobody do that anymore?
I think everyone is out to get the biggest explosion, and they don't care how they do it. Because they know there is a group of people out there that will watch the movie if there's a big boom.
Are practical explosions more awesome, though?
Well, yeah.
So, you know...
Refer to the hospital in The Dark Knight?
Yeah, I was thinking, you know, once again, I can never not mention Tarantino.
Of course not. But that's fine.
When the theater explodes in Bastards, or when Calvin King's mansion explodes. Those were real.
Yeah, and you could tell they're real, too.
This... Okay, how bad is it when you can blow up the Capitol building and it doesn't look as good as when Django blew up Calvin King's mansion?
Yeah.
Since we're talking about Jamie Foxx, might as well.
Oh, okay, it makes sense.
So, yeah, but I mean, you know, apart from that, you know, yeah, stuff happens that's kind of dumb.
Yeah.
And after a while, Maggie Gyllenhaal is trying to, like, you know, stop things from happening.
Yeah.
And she just starts rattling off ideas that make no sense. She says, like, I don't even remember what it was, but it was something like, well, maybe if we do this and we do this, we can stop them. And I had to stop and go, wait, how are those two things connected, and what are you doing?
So let's blow up the White House when the president's in there, and he may or may not be alive, but we can't take that chance and risk the hostages we have in there, so let's just kill them all and don't worry about it.
So, yeah, there's a lot of stupid shit, but...
The heels are overpowering.
What do you mean?
Overpowering. They cannot be stopped. No, seriously, this is like, it's ridiculous sometimes. That there's so many things that they cannot be stopped.
Channing Tatum fights Jason Clarke like 3 times.
Yes.
Well...
Including one scene in a press room that I thought was fun.
So yeah, you know, stupid shit is gonna happen.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, Emmerich is not as effects savvy as he once was, apparently. At least here.
Maybe he didn't have a budget for this movie.
I don't know. If you cast Channing Tatum and Jamie Foxx, I think you'd have to have at least a little bit of a budget.
Yeah.
Like, Iron Man is a good idea of great recent visual effects too.
Yeah, definitely.
Like the plane crashing in Iron Man 3 is much better and much more convincing than in this.
Yeah.
I just don't understand what's happening, because you'd think effects would get more convincing the more farther in time we go.
You'd think so. For some reason, it seems like effects are just kind of stuck. Like, they want to go forward, they're trying to go forward, they push to go forward, but they're just stuck for some reason.
Yeah,
and that's a shame, because they could have done a whole lot more with this movie. With the effects.
But as it is, you know, I really don't get where these, you know, horrible, absolutely horrific reviews are coming from. But people despise this movie.
Yeah.
You know. I guess I don't. Maybe they think it's too loud, obnoxious, or something. I mean, this is not even close to like the loud, obnoxious levels like Battleship or something,
No.
or a Transformers movie.
Yeah.
This is tame compared to those.
Extremely.
The action doesn't even get started till like 40 minutes in.
Yeah.
It's relatively calm for as big of a movie as it is.
And it's very dialogue heavy too.
Yeah,
But a movie like this has to be.
well, that script needed some work, but
Yeah.
we'll get into that. Since this was a major asset of this movie, we'll talk about the cast list. This cast list is huge.
It's an awesome cast too.
We had Channing Tatum, Jamie Foxx, Maggie Gyllenhaal, James Woods, Richard Jenkins, who was the I never know the titles. I'm not politically intelligent at all.
He's a Speaker of the House.
Okay.
That I do remember because I'm a big Jenkins mark.
Okay, and then we had
Jenkins is everywhere, and you guys have to know who he is. He's been in everything.
Jason Clarke, who we
Yeah.
mentioned a few times. Jake Weber, who was in Dawn of the Dead. Annie Stevens' brother.
Yeah.
There was Michael Murphy, who was the mayor in Batman Returns. He was the vice president. And he was in, I want to say, X-Men. Sometimes I get it confused with Bruce Davison. They might have both been in X-Men. I don't know.
Bruce Davison definitely was an X-Men. I'm
Yeah.
not positive on that, but I think so.
And,
Let's check his filmography, shall we?
Then there was
X-Men Last Stand, correct?
Peter Jacobson, who was on House for a while. I'm probably even forgetting people. There were so many.
A lot of names on here that I don't know off the top of my head.
But a lot of them do what they can, even though I can't really think of somebody who was particularly wasted. But I would like to talk about James Woods. I'm always really happy when James Woods comes into a movie because he's always going to do something to make it better than it is.
Definitely.
Whether it's something small or something big. Like I didn't like really know at all going into it that he was the villain.
Yeah.
Like, when I saw him in the cast, I was kind of hoping, like, I wonder,
He could be. Maybe.
Because, he wasn't really around for a while, but then when he showed up and scared the holy shit out of everyone in the Straw Dogs remake.
That was awesome.
Oh, that's probably one of my favorite performances of his, actually.
It's an excellent.
But yeah, he's pretty effective. He's if you want a villain to be scared of, he's the person to ask.
Definitely.
He's even good as the villain in nobody likes that Stallone movie, The Specialist, the one he did with Sharon Stone. That was like a softcore porn.
Yeah, I heard about that movie.
He's the villain in that movie too, and he really brings it to a great level.
He's got a huge filmography.
Now on the way here, we were discussing Joey King. I don't know if it's her. Well, because she had the shittiest dialogue in the world. Like, she's this, like, 11 or 12-year-old girl, and right in front of her eyes, Jason Clarke kills somebody.
Yep.
For a child, that is traumatizing. She stands up and she starts to hit at him and says, "You're gonna go to jail for that!"
Yeah.
And there's a time. This isn't a spoiler, don't, get your panties in a bunch or anything. There's a point in time where Jason Clarke shoots Jamie Foxx, and we think he's dead, but he's not.
Of course not.
They're going to have some contrivance to make him not dead. So the president has just been killed right before her eyes.
And that's like her idol, too. She idolizes the president.
And she just looks at James Woods.
James Woods.
And says, "No! You killed him!
You killed him!"
Like, I don't know if it's her or if it's just...
No, it's a bad dialogue. Because she was great in Ramona and Beezus. She didn't really have to do much in The Dark Knight Rises, but
she didn't have a line in The Dark Knight Rises.
But she was very crucial, obviously, and...
If she had had a line in The Dark Knight Rises, it would have been a spoiler.
She's great in Oz the Great and Powerful.
Yeah, I guess so. So,
So maybe it was just a crappy dialogue.
I guess we can give her the benefit of the doubt.
She had a very important character, actually.
Yeah, she's one of those... It's one of those corny as fuck child that saves the day things, and like... she's put on a pedestal like every 5 minutes. It's like, oh my God, our little hero, and this is she has saved the day, and she's like, the military guys actually throw her up on their shoulder.
Yeah, she basically she has a YouTube channel, and they put that over, and she's always filming with her iPhone. I wonder who else does that. So basically, she's like, oh my God, it's the president. So they're on this tour, obviously, they're on the White House tour. And he's like, oh, can I ask you a question for my YouTube channel? He's like, yeah, do I look okay in the camera? And she asks him this really long and drawn-out, very thoughtful question, and he's like, I really don't know. But then he goes into his presidential mode.
I wonder if that was a take on, have you seen that video on YouTube where this little child was going to ask Barack Obama a question?
No, I haven't.
The question was, why do people hate you?
Wow.
He pretty much answered it the same way Jamie Foxx does.
And the great response at the end of it was like, yeah, here's a shout out for her video blog. And I was like, oh my God.
Yeah, she's very,
I like Joey King. She needs to get parts with people that actually can write scripts.
There's this part that not many people heard, because it's barely there and it gets cut off, but she's all into the whole technology thing, like she's talking about. She tells Channing Tatum nobody says the word blog anymore. And, this is actually kind of funny to me, because it is the way people are now. Channing Tatum calls her and her voicemail comes on, and her voicemail says, leave a message. Come to think of it, why are you calling me? Text
me. Yeah. That's true.
So,
there's specific examples of people in my family that I thought that would never text in a million years, and that's what they do.
So, that's about it. It's fine. Don't listen to the reviews. And don't, if your douchey friend who thinks he's some critic comes up to you and says, like, and all he does is, like, critic speak, like, use, critic terms.
Yeah.
Don't listen to.
Because first off, he's probably at work anyway, and the guy probably just read the stuff. He's like, I know what I'm going to say to the next person I talk to.
I guarantee most people that review stuff on the internet just read reviews and then just like a parrot.
But that's not us here. That's not what Pop's about.
Yeah,
we have our own.
Being totally honest, I actually stopped reading reviews beforehand when we started doing this, just for that.
I stopped reading reviews too. I just kind of wanted to read this, not Star Amount, but 4-in-1 Mania does this thing, and I wanted to see what its like percentage is, like if it's like a 9 or 10 or everything. I don't read the review. I just read the Star Amount to see what they say about it, and that's it. And other than that, I'm like, okay, I'll take it with a grain of salt.
It's just like when I saw, I went to Roper's site, and he gave this an F.
I don't get that.
And that's not to... What's funny about that is everybody calls Roper the critic that likes everything.
No, he's not. He's had a lot of examples in the last couple years that he has not liked a lot of things that most people do.
He throws those A's out like they're nothing, but
yes.
You don't see the F very often.
No.
So I'm very curious to get back to that review and see exactly what he said.
And after we film this, we probably can do that, so... Well, not tonight, obviously, but still, somewhere down the road.
So yeah, I'd like to give a shout out to one of my personal favorite internet critics, Ben Magowitz from What the Flick, is in White House Down.
Really?
Yeah, he was on the
He's on the tour?
He was on the news a couple of times.
Oh yeah.
I was like, holy shit! I guarantee they bring that up in the review.
That's awesome.
So what makes me think? I wonder if he's gonna tear it down. If he's like allowed to tear it down.
I'm kind of tied, and he's literally standing there with his hands tied. He's like, I am tied to a binding agreement to say I can't say anything about this movie. So this movie is really good. Christy, back to you. That's pretty much going to be the What the Flick review for this movie.
No, he calls it in.
He literally phones it in, so it works.
So yeah.
That's a pun that works.
So yeah, that's White House Down. It's fine. It's a nice throwback to the blockbusters of the 90s. Yeah, and if you want to get your, like, okay, people that went and watched Olympus Has Fallen, and they really liked it, or they didn't like it, I mean, there's some similarities to the movies, but, I mean, they're two completely different movies when you really look at them side by side. One wants to be Die Hard, one is, so... How much like a Die Hard it is can be distracting. Yeah, very much so. You know... White tank top, blood stained, yeah. Elevator shafts. Elevator shafts, exactly. But, it's, he didn't really have a, I guess his Reginald Vell Johnson. I was getting ready to say, where's Reginald Vell Johnson? I guess Maggie Gyllenhaal.
Yeah.
Because he had Freeman in Olympus Has Fallen.
That's true. Both good movies, so check them both out, honestly.
Yeah, I think they're about even in quality.
Yeah, I'd say so.
Maybe I might take this over Olympus Has Fallen by maybe that much, just because of probably just because of James Woods.
James Woods is definitely going to be the X factor in this.
I got such a James Woods bias in every movie he's in. I don't get.
That's all right. There's not a problem with that.
When I first saw the episode of him on Family Guy,
I was getting ready to bring up Family Guy,
and I found out he was voicing himself. That was a beautiful day. This is the greatest thing of all time.
Well, he is Hades after all.
Yeah,
and he does still voice Hades for the Sorcerers in the Magic Kingdom game that just debuted at Magic Kingdom a couple years ago. Which is great because he actually went back and did his original voice and everything. That was cool. So props to James Woods.
So, yeah. So, yeah, just, if you like this kind of movie, then don't worry about reviews, except for this one.
Yeah, worry about this review.
Maybe there'll be some more critics that come out, and I think I think it's peer pressure. A lot of critics are too afraid to come out and say they like it when it gets this bad reviews.
I'm far too sensitive to... I was afraid you'd make it before I did,
They turn into Matthew Lillard.
Exactly. Oh, boy.
So, yeah. We spent a half hour on Olympus.
Not bad.
And oh my god, I almost called it Olympus Has Fallen.
Richard Jenkins is great in everything he does. And for those of you out there that don't remember who I'm talking about, God, he was in The Visitor. Visitor is amazing. He was in Killing Them Softly.
This is the internet crowd. You got
Cabin in the Woods.
Oh, yeah.
Cabin in the Woods is what you'll know him from.
I was going to say, you'd have to say Step Brothers.
Cabin in the Woods.
Fairly Brothers movies.
Yeah, but Cabin in the Woods is very, with the internet, so...
Yeah. He's the fuck you guy.
He's awesome in that movie, too.
Alright, let's go ahead to the heat.
Yeah.
Well, you were out to hate this movie from the get-go, so you're pretty much anything you say in this review is going to be devoid of all meaning, because you already thought about it before you saw it.
Well, no, not necessarily. I mean, I did take some things into consideration, but I mean, I had to look... I may say I didn't like the movie going in. Didn't think I was going to like the movie going in, but it wasn't like I wasn't going to give it a fair shot. I gave it a fair shot. I listened to the jokes for what they were.
Alright, well,
and we'll end at that. Bye, folks.
You all know the plot, about the whole, she's tight-knit, and she's, very uptight, and, she's brass, and she's loud.
She curses all the time.
I said brass, it's brash.
Brash.
And, wouldn't it be wacky if they teamed up? Ooh.
That old chestnut.
It's like
Cop and a Half.
It's like the fake movies and Funny People or Tropic Thunder.
Yeah.
Or that poster in Tracy Morgan's dressing room on 30 Rock, where it's it's a movie where Tracy Jordan was playing a dual role.
Mm-hmm.
And he was in he had white paint on his face and was playing a white cop, and he was also playing
Tracy Jordan.
And they were on the poster is just them standing back to back, and it says white cop, black cop.
That reminds me of Wesley Snipes and Jesse Ventura, White Thunder, Black Lightning. Remember that from Major League 2?
But anyway, so yeah, this is just gonna be... Pretty much everything about this movie is just obvious.
You're going to have a heyday with this movie if you liked Bridesmaids. If you like Melissa McCarthy at all, you're going to have a heyday with this movie.
Well, it has that, it opens like a 70s TV show or a 70s movie.
It's awesome! It looks like a blaxploitation film, kind of like Undercover Brother. It's the vibe I got.
Yeah. And throughout if you've watched those 70s detective movies that are like, not many people have heard of them, they're just kind of there. Like you'd see in a grindhouse theater. It kind of looks like
Afro Man in the Jungle, something like that.
It looks like it's kind of trying to be reminiscent of those kind of movies.
Yeah, it's trying to.
Like with its, the way the plot is set up. Except it's a comedy.
In the 70s, it wouldn't take place in Boston, though. It'd take place in LA, New York, or San Francisco.
Regardless. That was their only attempt at being original.
Yes, very much so.
But yeah, Okay, I'm not going to turn into Rex Reed. I'm not going to start bashing Melissa McCarthy personally. I'm just going to say that I don't think she's funny, and
No.
I don't really see the appeal or anything. What?
Breaking news that before we even get started with this review, I just saw something that makes my blood boil. I'm on IMDb because that's what we do here, and I was just checking up things. And I was getting ready to look into this movie so we can have some little tidbits to talk about during the review. And I found something that kind of alarms me. That officially, as of this moment, there is a Heat 2 planned.
Yeah, that was actually greenlit when the reaction to the trailers came out.
That just... Yep.
Well, judging by the fact that we're already... Well, first off, my opinion of this movie is probably a little tainted for the simple fact that I was freaking out the whole time.
Yeah,
Because
we'll bring up that story.
White House Down let out a little late, so by the time we got into the heat, it was full.
Yeah.
Completely. The only rows left were the front row and the row behind it.
Yeah.
And
you don't sit in the front row.
So we sit in the row, the second row back, and I have a really bad case of vertigo.
Bad vertigo.
I can't look down from heights, and I sure shit can't look up at heights.
You can't even look up at the television to beat up sometimes. That's how bad it is.
Yeah,
It's crazy.
If I can only look at the middle of the screen. I can't look.
You couldn't look at the top. If somebody had something going on at the top of the screen, you couldn't look at it.
Because let's say I were to sit back and lean back to where the full screen is in my view.
Got it.
If I even get a glimpse of the ceiling, I'm gonna freak out and leave.
Interesting.
There was a time where I was in the food court in the mall, and I looked at my watch, and I saw the reflection of the ceiling in my watch, and it freaked me out.
Wow. I was not aware of this. We've never had this conversation before.
Yeah, so needless to say, I was a bit of a wreck while watching this movie anyway.
Yeah.
So, on top of that, anyway, like I was saying before you mentioned the sequel that's already in the works.
Yeah, I saw that and it just made my head spin.
I don't have anything personally against Melissa McCarthy. I just don't see the appeal.
She's not funny at all.
But people are in love with her, though.
Yeah, so I've never got this.
We're just going to have to deal with that.
Wasn't she on SNL at one point, too?
She hosted it once, recently.
Oh, I thought someone told me she was on SNL.
I don't think. But yeah, and going on the fact that people are in love with her is the reason this movie... I mean, Sandra Bullock, still brings in money.
Yeah, look what The Blind Side did.
But the thing is you could kind of tell they were there for McCarthy because...
Yeah.
Melissa McCarthy is one of the... I don't get people who feel this way. Maybe they're okay. Maybe the world feels about Melissa McCarthy the way I feel about James Woods. No matter what she does, it's going to be great.
Oh, wow.
That's...
You've compared Melissa McCarthy to James Woods. A lightning bolt needs to hit you in the forehead right now in Harry Potter.
Only because we just had that previous example. Where
David Morse, you're behind.
I did just say, no matter what James Woods is in, I will,
Yeah.
So, I guess that's how people feel. Because the problem is there was another movie like this recently, but I forget what it was now and who was in it, but...
Probably something overrated.
When she just says anything, Melissa McCarthy could say anything at all in any context, and a theater full of people will think it's hilarious.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And this goes on the fact that profanity can be funny.
It definitely can be funny if it's done in the right context.
Jerry Seinfeld was telling a story about a Superman joke. Where, as Jerry Seinfeld does not like to cuss.
No, he doesn't.
So, he does it as little as possible.
Yep.
Because he just doesn't like to. He thinks it's... I think he said he thinks it's...
Unprofessional?
to paraphrase whatever it was he said, a crutch, basically.
Yeah, okay, I got you.
And he was talking about how he told a joke once, and it was involved... I can't remember what the lead-in was, but it was something about a Superman hiding in a cave, I think.
Mm-hmm.
And he said he's off in a fucking cave somewhere, and they lost it. And so just as an experiment, the next time he did that joke, he took out the fucking and just said he's in a cave somewhere, and nobody laughed. Because there was just something about the delivery with
the way the
fucking
cadence is with the curse word in makes it funnier, I guess. Sure.
Okay, so that proves it, that profanity can be funny.
Yes.
In the right context.
Especially in a PG-13 movie. In the right context, the profanity can be used greatly.
So, the problem is
overkill.
It's not, okay. The Departed is one of my favorite movies, so I would be a hypocrite if I ever said a movie used profanity too much.
Yeah.
So, the thing is you know how when you're a kid and somebody would say the word fuck and it would make you giggle because it's a bad word?
Yeah.
Everyone in the theater was apparently
12 years old.
Brought back to their childhood because it could even be in a sense that wasn't supposed to be funny if Melissa McCarthy said the word fuck, which she does about 200 times.
Yeah.
That's an exaggeration, but it's close.
If you played a drinking game, you'd be screwed up within an hour.
Every single time in the movie, Melissa McCarthy said a sentence with the word fuck in it, they lost it.
Yeah.
I don't know if I don't remember how profane her character was in Bridesmaids, but...
All your trailer moments are there. They're just punctuated with F this, F that.
Yeah, like, why, what's gonna come fucking popping out? And,
yeah.
There was another one.
Yeah.
Where a famous trailer line actually had fucking in the middle of it.
Just put, take your keys out of your pocket and drive to your house.
Yeah.
And they completely changed that, of course.
Um...
Kill you in your sleep and I'll stab you with your own badge.
Yeah, it's actually funnier in the movie than it was in the trailer.
Yeah.
I like kill you in your sleep better than stab you with your badge.
Stab you with your badge is a really good PG-13 line, but kill you in your sleep is funnier.
It's like Daniel Day-Lewis and There Will Be Blood. I'm going to come into your house tonight while you're sleeping and cut your throat.
Yeah.
So, yeah, we've been going for about 10 minutes now. We haven't even really talked about the Heat.
So,
we're just okay. We've talked about its trailer. We've talked about the people in it.
NBA champions, apparently. Wrong Heat.
So yeah, well, that shows, if you think you're gonna like this movie, if you like the trailers, you'll probably, think this is one of the best movies of the year.
Oh yeah, without question.
But
you went to Identity Thief. I'll say it over again. Yeah, Identity Thief. Like we mentioned before a billion times.
I don't remember where I was, but people are still calling it theft.
Yeah, they definitely do it at the movie theater. Trust me, I would know.
Here's the thing, though, is something that really helped was, unlike Melissa McCarthy, I do find Sandra Bullock very appealing, both in her appearance,
she was fine,
and her personality, and her skills in comedy. And it's just these little things too. Like there's just this part where there's a dog sitting next to her in the car, and it keeps turning its head and looking at her, and she just keeps turning it back. And for some reason, that was funny, and it happens twice. And there's
It's in that big minivan with the family.
Yeah.
Okay.
And her whole thing with the cat.
Yes, that cat is adorable, by the way.
So yeah, I actually like the Bullock stuff. Okay. That's where the profanity is funny. Like, the joke is, she keeps saying, like, a-hole and F-her. And,
yeah.
And finally she just starts letting it out.
She lets her Tourette's shine through.
It's predictable, but the way she handled it was funny. I also like the...
He got a genuine laugh.
I also like sticking the middle fingers up to the door, too.
And letting it slide down the window. That was great.
Because it's like, I'm going to take a wild guess and say Sandra Bullock probably doesn't have a problem with profanity in real life.
I'd say not.
So this is also a compliment to her acting. There was that, you could sense a discomfort every time she said fuck.
Yeah.
Like, she almost didn't say fuck, it was almost like fook.
She wanted to giggle. Like she was a telemarketer trying to pronounce a name on his computer screen. I've got that guy before. He does exist, folks.
So,
Mr. Fook.
She was almost saying fuck too, like like Meet the Parents.
We got the Boston thing going on, so I mean the accents were there.
Yeah. And yeah, there is a funny scene where they go to Melissa McCarthy's house and her family's at the dinner table, and she leaves the room with Michael Rappaport and leaves Sandra Bullock at the table with her family. The guy asks her if she's a narc, but he's got the Boston accent.
Are you a narc?
And they have
What
this,
am I, a narc? What?
That back and forth was funny.
Yeah.
But there was, but then, you know, that's the thing, is, this is what it all comes down to. I don't want to, after everything she's been through with Rex Reed, I feel bad bashing Melissa McCarthy, but
No.
she says she doesn't care, so, you know, okay. This movie is funny when Sandra Bullock is there, and this movie is not funny when Melissa McCarthy's there. Because when Melissa McCarthy's there, Bullock might as well not be. Even though you're supposed to play off each other, it's not really that way. Bullock's best moments are when McCarthy's not on screen.
Straight guy, loose cannon thing. I mean, that does work, but I mean, it doesn't work in this movie.
What was I about to bring up?
Cast?
Oh, no,
Not yet.
close.
Not yet, soon.
There is a scene where, the guy that plays Biff from Back to the Future is, what was his job? Was he a chief or something?
Yes, I believe so.
Well, he goes into, this happens a few times.
He's your
before.
generic police chief that gives the trouble.
He's, this happens a few times, but this is the scene where it really stood out. There are these scenes, and the people in the theater were losing it.
Yeah.
But she starts talking about, he makes a funny quip about, like his balls.
Yeah.
That sounds weird, but in context it's funny when he says it. But,
His stuff's funny, and then it got pushed too far.
that's all he said the one line about his balls. And then Melissa McCarthy takes over, and she milks this for like 5 minutes. She said the word balls like 20 times.
And she was talking
And then
about...
just as the scene was about to end, she brought it back one more time with the pill bottle.
She just killed the joke.
It
wasn't funny in the first place. She killed the joke completely.
They do that dumb scene that's like... The scene where she's in the parking lot with the police cars, and she can't get her door open because the cars are parked so close together. And this scene goes on forever. She's like...
Climbing out of the vehicle, she has to, because the vehicles are parked too close. And
she tries multiple times to get the doors open. I don't know why she thought it would be funny if, you know... She realized the doors weren't going to go anywhere, but she just kept doing it. I guess that's hilarious to people. And, you know, climbing through the windows. The theater was losing it.
Yeah, my head was hurting about how much some people were laughing at this movie.
Well, now you know how I felt in Francis Hall.
Oh, that's not even fair.
So, yeah, let's talk about the cast. We already got Bullock and McCarthy. There's Academy Award nominee Damian Bashir, who you probably saw in Savages. He's the guy that lost his eye. And he's going to be in Machete Kills. He's a really good actor.
Yeah, he is.
He was barely in Savages, and he was awesome. And, you know, I would have given somebody else the Oscar nomination over him, but I don't... The fact that he is an Oscar nominee, you know, he's worthy. So, he does not do a thing. He's third credited. I thought he was going to eventually be important, because he's credited under McCarthy.
Really?
Yes. It says Sandra Bullock, Melissa McCarthy, The Heat, Damian Bashir's next.
I was obviously watching the awesome credit sequence. I wasn't paying attention to the names, but
So,
I saw the Rappaport scene though.
He does not do anything. Like, I thought maybe it was going to be like an LA Confidential thing where, you know, the head is like actually the villain, but he's just there to show up at crime scenes and put his hands on his hips and talk.
If Biff Tannen is your generic Boston police commissioner or police chief, then Damian Bashir is definitely he's your generic babyface cop. He's an FBI agent too, so he's the one that's in charge of Bullock and making sure she can get her, like, he's trying to get a promotion to go up higher in the company.
The biggest tragedy of this cast.
Oh.
I had hoped for this movie's comedy because Marlon Wayans is in it. I had no idea what he did.
No one did.
Because he's not in the trailer.
Nope.
For the longest time, it wasn't on his IMDb page.
You know that.
The only way I knew he was in it was when the credits go by really fast when the trailer ended.
2 seconds it says Marlon Wayans. I was like, huh? Maybe.
So I thought Marlon Wayans is hilarious. So let's see what he brings to the table. they made a huge mistake. They went through the trouble of casting Marlon Wayans. Maybe he asked for the role, I don't know. But they went through the trouble of putting Marlon Wayans in this movie. And it's not him. He's given a character that's not... And I don't mean like he's not funny, like he tries but he's not funny. I mean his character is not funny at all. Like he's not written to be funny. He's just there to provide information.
Well, we mentioned Undercover Brother. Wow, long day. We mentioned Undercover Brother in the beginning of this video, and I'll bring another callback to it as well. He acts like Anton Jackson, which is Eddie Griffin in Undercover Brother.
No, not one of the Jackson 5.
No. Or Damon Wayans from In Living Color. Not that Anton Jackson. He doesn't pee in a jar.
So yeah, Michael Rappaport didn't do anything either. He's
McCarthy's brother.
You don't see him in comedies very often.
No, you don't.
He's a pretty dramatic actor.
And he's good at it, too.
His funniest role was probably in Bamboozled, where he plays
I haven't seen.
We'll get this. He plays the... this is a joke. I don't know why Spike Lee went for this joke, but it's hilarious. I guess because Michael Rappaport's like the whitest guy in the world.
Yeah.
As we saw in Zebrahead, for instance.
Yeah.
But the poster for Bamboozle, you know Savion Glover.
Yeah.
He's a black guy, and he's the tap dancer that did the work for Happy Feet.
Okay.
Okay, so the poster for Bamboozled says starring the great African American actors Damon Wayans, Jada Pinkett Smith, Savion Glover, Tommy Davidson, Michael Rappaport.
Good God.
That's one of the most brilliant posters I've ever seen because Michael Rappaport's the whitest guy in the world. But yeah, there's just nothing for these people to do. There's Michael McDonald, who you probably know best as Stewart from Mad TV, but
yep.
And his cameos in the Austin Powers movies. He has a different cameo in every Austin Powers movie. He is in the first one. He's the guy that gets run over by the plow.
Yeah, he is.
He's actually pretty funny, and he makes a few comments. And his character's actually... Let me segue into this. This movie is surprisingly violent.
Yeah, it is.
There's like headshots, there's stabbings, there's like dismembered bodies and pictures. It's kind of jarring for a comedy.
You know, this is really funny, and I just realized this when I'm looking over this cast. There is a lot of generational comedy in this movie. You've got you have Marlon Wayans from In Living Color. You've got Jane Curtin from Saturday Night Live.
Yeah.
Then you got Michael McDonald from Mad TV, and you got Taran Killam from Wild 'N Out. So there's 4 different comedy shows, different comedy variety shows supported in this cast. And that's another person that's wasted. That's Jane Curtin.
Yeah, I was about to bring that up.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's actually a scene that really kind of took me by surprise, and you could tell when the audience was too. You don't expect too much violence in a comedy.
No.
Even if it's a crime comedy. Michael McDonald picks up this knife, and Sandra Bullock has her hands tied, and he says, do you mind holding this knife for me? And she says, what, you mean with my hands tied? And he's like, oh, sorry. And he sticks it in her leg.
Yeah,
and leaves
nuts.
the room. Yeah, and Jane Curtin's introduction is funny.
Yeah.
I can't remember what song was playing now. That was one of the funniest parts of it. Shit. Well, anyway, Melissa McCarthy and Sandra Bullock are on the sidewalk.
Yeah.
And Jane Curtin drives by, and her music is playing really loud.
Yep.
And she just has her finger out, and she's just flipping off Melissa McCarthy as she drives by.
Yeah. It's really interesting, and the family really... this is not spoiling anything either. The family hate each other because Melissa McCarthy's the one that put Michael Rappaport in jail. So they really hate her now, and she comes back because they have to get some information. Well, it's funny because when we see this family, we see another person that is... I'm shocked to see him in the movie, is Joey McIntyre of New Kids on the Block. He was one of the brothers in the movie.
Yeah, the scenes with her family reminded me a lot of the family scenes in The Fighter.
Oh my God, yes. Absolutely.
I I will say, oh yeah, I forgot to mention that. Another comedy thing that's funny.
Me.
It's funny at first, but it's blown out of proportion later. Is at the beginning,
we'll talk about that in a second.
at the beginning, Sandra Bullock is flipping through channels and she sees foul play on TV. Which, of course, if you've seen foul play, you know one of the big plot points is an assassin that's an albino.
Mm-hmm.
And they bring that into the movie.
Yeah.
There's one of the cops is an albino, and they just drag this joke out every single time he's on screen. He's kind of a funny character though because he doesn't take any of their bullshit.
No, he doesn't. Not at all.
And he looked familiar, but I can't think of who he is. But
if I remember what his name was, I'd look him up for you. Actually, no, I will look him up for you.
So yeah, there was I mean, we're talking about some funny parts here, but they're actually few and far between. Another scene that's totally for no reason. Literally, I don't know what reason this scene was for, and it went for so long. But it was also while she's flipping through channels, before she stops on foul play.
No.
She sees the what's that called? A tracheotomy.
Yeah, like a tracheotomy or a homemade tracheotomy.
She sees how to do it.
Yeah.
And then there's this scene for no reason towards the end.
They're at a Denny's.
Towards the end, when you shouldn't really be sticking in scenes that are long and drawn out and have no point to anything else.
Exactly.
Where a guy is at the bar there and he's choking. So she thinks the way to fix this is to do that. And it's disgusting. And
very much so.
Just for no reason, I guess, it's the director of Bridesmaids. I guess he thought he wasn't putting in enough gross out stuff to please his crowd or something. Do you want to tell them who the director is?
Oh, God. The director is Paul Feig. And
I think it's Feig.
Feig?
I'm not sure.
I don't know. I don't know him. I did not... Okay, he's in the movie. He's actually a doctor in the movie. And I kind of, got really excited when I saw the doctor. He was like, hey, that's him. And I was like... And AJ, of course, had to point out to me, that's the director of the movie, and I'm thinking to myself, that's Mr. Poole from Sabrina the Teenage Witch. Mr. Poole is the director of Bridesmaids and The Heat. Wrap your head around that one for a second. That actually, mind blown. It's, all the way over there now.
There were a lot of girls in the crowd that seemed to catch it, too.
Yeah. I don't know if that's probably the only way they know who he was.
Yeah, no way those girls said, hey, it's the director.
Yeah, probably not.
Bullock enthusiasts. I hope this doesn't sound too sleazy.
Yeah, I know where you're going with this.
Through the whole movie, Bullock wears these tight pants.
Yeah.
Like dress pants.
Yeah.
And maybe it was just me, or maybe it was on purpose. It looked like Sandra Bullock's ass was bent over and facing us a lot in this movie.
Yeah. She is, I'll be honest too, there is a scene where you've seen the scene in the trailer where they're standing in the bar and they're dancing and they're drinking alcohol by the truckloads. Of course, you can't do a movie like this without alcohol. And, of course, there's the aftermath after the night. They wake up in the booth next to strange people. And the next thing you know, one of the things that they talk about is the fact that she is drunk. She's wearing, something around, a bandana around her head. And she's in her bra. And it's just yeah. And Melissa McCarthy's like, you might want to cover those up there and everything. It's just it was just pointless. I mean, it was nice. But it was pointless in the context, is what I'm trying to say.
Well,
it was pointless for that scene.
Regardless, Sandra Bullock looks good nowadays.
Yeah.
Not to say she never did. I'm just saying she looks good nowadays.
Oh yeah, there's another thing I want to bring up real quick. We talk about the Mullins family. There is the girlfriend of Joey McIntyre. Her name is Gina, and I was just reading this on IMDb, and this is another thing that makes my head hurt. Her boobs are credited in this cast list. It actually says Gina's boobs in this cast list. And that is ridiculous. I've never seen that in a movie before.
And on that note, I think we're done.
Well, that's a weird way to end.
Next week is...
Next week will be fun, actually. It's Disney versus Universal.
It's The Lone Ranger and Despicable Me. I don't know. Despicable Me should be fine. I'm worried about The Lone Ranger.
Lone Ranger, I'm hearing a lot of things. It's very violent for a PG-13. There were a lot of people that walked out of pre-screenings because it was too much for them to handle.
It's so long.
Yeah, that's way too long.
But
That's why we're watching it first.
We'll see what happens.
So,
until next time.